Hey guys, welcome to Straight Ahead. This is a new show where we're gonna talk about the production part of anime. How shows are made, how they're animated. We're gonna break down some scenes and moments and explain them so that you can understand what goes on into making anime. For our first episode, let's start with something simple. Eizoken, short for Eizoken ni wa te o dasuna, or Keep Your Hands Off the Motion Pictures Club. This is a show based on the popular manga series by Sumito Owara and directed by the legendary Masaki Yuasa. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with Masaki Yuasa, he's an amazing director known for shows like Devilman Crybaby, Ping Pong, Mind Game, and a lot more. He has a very distinct and expressive style of animation. He uses gestures and movements beautifully and pushes the boundary with character design. Now let's get back to Eizoken. Eizoken seems like a love letter to animation. It's an amazing show about three girls who start an animation club to make anime. It portrays the love of the art very well and is filled with tips and tricks for those who want some insight into the Japanese animation industry. Let's get into the production. The best part of the show is the visual style. The whole city seems like a huge playground. It's something I dreamt of as a kid. Tons of alleyways and secret tunnels. It has so much personality. The coin laundry that you enter through a small hole under the compressor, the ramen shop hidden away in a corner, the swing on the hill near the lovely canals that go all along the city. This personality allows your imagination to go wild. I can imagine myself adventuring around the city like Asakusa. It is obviously inspired by Japanese towns and cities. It reminds you of Tokyo. It's basically one intricate maze filled with personality and subcultures and a million stories. The character design is one of the most important parts of the show. Even though it's based on the manga, Yuasa and the staff at Science Saru have done an amazing job with adapting it. Character design is an important part of the process. It's not only the clothes they wear or the hair color, it's a lot more. The shape of their eyes, nose, fingers, their height, their weight, how they stand, how they walk, how they eat. All these things give life to a character. They tell us a lot about the character. This is where Eizoken shines. It breaks away from the traditional Japanese style character design. It seems to be inspired more by European character styles. Europeans put a lot more into character design, telling stories using visuals other than dialogue. We can look at old school comics like Tintin, films like The Triplets of Belleville, and even works of some animators like Tartakovsky. Just by looking at these characters, we can tell a lot about them. Their features are dynamic and abstract. It tends to be more on the contemporary side and is way more expressive when used correctly. We've also seen this in Japan with films like Dead Leaves and Tekkon Kinkure. We will be doing episodes on those too, so subscribe and make sure you don't miss out. Back to Eizoken. The characters are beautifully designed. Asakusa has a round face with wide eyes, short hair covered by a hat. She wears a knee-length skirt and white socks. Kanamori has an elliptical egg-shaped face. She's tall, has long hair along with a long skirt and long black socks. She usually has her glasses on top of her head. Mizusaki has a more structured face with a defined jawline. Her features are also a lot more structured. Her hair is done well, her skirt is shorter than the rest, and she wears mid-length socks. Their bags are also very different and specific to their character. These differences are important features that portray how they behave. Let's see the way they walk and run. Asakusa lifts her hands and legs higher, leaning ahead as if she's excited to go somewhere. Kanamori shrugs forward, barely lifts or bends her arms, and takes smaller steps. Mizusaki seems to be in the middle. She runs in a normal pace, not as excited as Asakusa, but has more interest than Kanamori. Let's also observe them eat. This scene at the restaurant is a very good example. Asakusa keeps eating throughout the scene, speaking while doing so. Mizusaki, on the other hand, does one thing at a time. She speaks when she needs to and takes a bite while listening. And Kanamori doesn't start eating until the conversation is over. Let's also take a look at this scene. This is where they find their clubhouse for the first time. You can see the three of them doing different things. Mizusaki is fanning herself because she feels hot. Asakusa is exploring around. This is like a mini adventure for her. Kanamori, on the other hand, is busy talking and discussing details. Now let's move on to the camera. Camera movement is very important in a scene. It helps us follow the narrative and understand what's going on in the scene. The camera movement in Eizouken is very well done. It doesn't feel static and gives you a very good idea of the environment and the characters. We can also follow the movement and speech of the characters pretty well. Let's follow this first scene. The camera pans down, showing Asakusa looking at the town and then showing her sketchbook. Camera pans behind. Kanamori walks in and we see her back. Next shot, we see her legs as she walks in behind Asakusa. Asakusa turns around and we see Kanamori through the binoculars from a low angle. This helps us follow the whole narrative. This is followed by the reverse shot and then pans out, giving us a better idea of the height they're at. We do get an idea of this before when Asakusa is sketching, but this reinforces the background by showing the second character interacting with it. The animation is also a lot better than we usually see. Popular anime productions usually tend to use a lot of shortcuts and tricks. In Eizouken, they've done a much better job at getting away with these. Here are a few examples. You can see hair looping during this fight scene. The run is also a loop with the background slowly moving in the other direction. And you'll see a lot of skirt loops too throughout the show. A lot of tricks that are explained in the show are also used. We can see that with how they use the cameras. You can see how the camera shakes in this scene to show the impact of the punch, even though it's just one frame. You can see how they move backgrounds instead of characters to give an idea of the character moving in space. There are a lot of creative ideas that we can pick up from this show, like using strokes to show water flow, animating dragonfly wings 3 different ways to show speed and weight. A lot of aspects of Japanese animation are explained in the show, from production techniques to sound design to even processes like in-betweening. The work in progress or rough scenes that are drawings using pencil animation and basic watercolors are beautiful. It's an amazing way to show the planning and ideation stage. It seems to be a better version of an animatic. Now, an animatic is a rough cut of a short or a film. It's mostly compiled using storyboards and small animations, with raw dialogue and sounds usually made temporarily by the staff itself. Animatics allow us to gauge the timing of the shots and understand how everything comes together. The mouth sounds and pencil drawings on this paper-like structure capture this part of the process beautifully.
それでは羽の動作確認。異常なし。
The soundtrack is freaking crazy and complemented the scenes very well. It really fits the mood, from the chase sequences to when they were working and stressed out. Especially when they were exploring the town and imagining these wonderful, bizarre situations. Saikyo no Sekai was my favorite soundtrack. It fits the show perfectly. It really captured their love and excitement for animation. Hats off to Yuasa and the team at Science Saru for giving us this amazing experience. That zoom out in the end was masterful. The transitions between the backgrounds were so smooth. Also, props for that cool Miyazaki reference. We saw that. Very well done. But that's it for this episode of Straight Ahead. It's the first time we are trying something like this. So let us know if you missed anything important and if you like this video. Like, share, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.